Hang on one second. I'm getting the prayers back up. Sorry about this, you guys. Thank you, Khando. Oh, where did they go? I think I accidentally closed them out. All right. Okay, now Chenrezig, verse and praise. Praise and verse. It's page 37 in the Gold Prayer Book. Okay. Not veiled by any fault, white in color, whose head a perfect Buddha crowns in light, gazing compassionately at all beings, to you, Chenrezig, all-seeing one, I prostrate. We'll do this 8 times. Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om Mani Padme Hum. And then Green Tara verse and of praise and mantra, that's also page 37. Tare liberates from cyclic existence. Tutare liberates from the 8 fears. Ture liberates from all sickness. I prostrate to the liberator, Mother Tara. 7 of these. Om Tare Tu Re Soha. 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 And then taking refuge and generating bodhicitta back on page 34. We'll do this 3 times in English. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened, to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened, to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened, to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Okay. Thanks for your patience.
There we go. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for anybody that was willing to get out of bed and face the rain and show up here. I have to say, one advantage of the rain and this hour Sunday morning, the insanity of the Raleigh traffic and the particular insanity of Christmas Raleigh traffic was at a minimum. So I was very happy about that. The generosity of everyone who stayed home. Thank you. Let's see. So since I've only heard that I was doing this Tuesday or Wednesday, everyone might get a lot of opportunity to share. And see, ding dong, karma delivery, I was blessed. We ended 11:30. So that takes care of everything. To the best of my ability, I'm going to, whoops, hi everybody, whoever's on, who's ever on YouTube and who's ever on Zoom, good to see you all. Thank you. Thank you for being here. So I can't think of the 6 perfections. Among the first 3 is generosity is the first, and the third is patience. And I can't think of a starting at Thanksgiving and going until the New Year's, I can't think of a time of year in the United States where a commitment to these and understanding of these isn't essential to survive until the first of the year. Well, and throughout the new year, it always counts, but I think this time of the year can be particularly demanding, to say the very least. So I would just like to start with, I don't know how long a meditation. We'll see how long it takes. So get comfortable in any way you want. Keep your eyes open, close your eyes. Sit up straight, don't sit up straight. Whatever works for you, that you can just settle in and hopefully enjoy the next few minutes. I'm going to start with generosity. It's it is the first thing, whether Tibetans, Geshe-la talks a lot about Tibetans and the culture and how historically many of the lay people didn't study a lot, but it infused their lives. And one of the things that infused their lives was generosity. And it was one of the first things that they shared with their children. And you see it in, them sharing, them offering, just little kids. So I think that's, very important for us to remember. Yeah. And so there are 3 times, well, actually 4 types of generosity, and they come in different orders sometimes, but the first is giving material things. And of course, that's, a great deal that happens at this season. And Geshe-la talks about, when we talk about giving, material things, whether it's, shelter or food or, a favorite CD, to give people what it is that they want or need, not what we think they should have. So just take a second and think about for yourself where you have been able to practice generosity, sometimes easily and sometimes with a little difficulty, in terms of offering, material generosity to others. Just, given this group of people, I would be very surprised if any of you said, "Oh, I've never ever done that." So. Now, next, think about when you have received, been the recipient of generosity. It can be very small, or it can be very large. The second type of generosity is giving protection against fear. Again, it can be like giving food or shelter because it's pretty fearful to be facing hunger or, let's say, out in this stuff. But it's also, the bug you pick up and take outside, the bug you step around, the worm you don't let bake on the sidewalk. It's from, very, very tiny things that, many of us have learned to not do automatically, but be a little more mindful. So think of one of those items, big or small, for those of you who are parents here, giving protection to your children. Sometimes it doesn't look nice in the sense that you kind of snatch them out of the, from the edge of the road when they're walking into dangerous area. The protection you just offer them by feeding and clothing them and taking care of them. And the protection that often, I know I'm focusing a lot on parents, but the protection that happens, as they get more independent and they have the freedom to make a lot of their own choices. And sometimes they're not so wise, downright dangerous. And attempting to intervene and protect them from the consequences of that so they can make better choices going forward. Now, think of a time when you have been offered protection. Again, can be small or big. Was there someone in your life at some point that, even now, that offered you the support or what was needed so you could make a more skillful choice for yourself? The third is giving the Dharma. And of course, that's the people who write books, the incredible websites that you can offer a donation to, but basically are free, that help us study, the teachers that offer their experience and their knowledge so generously and freely, including repeating things that they've said in this room to us many, many times and keep having to repeat. And they do that with the generosity of patience. But it doesn't just include, and Geshe-la's mentioned this, it doesn't just include, the formal teachings. Anybody that's a little bit familiar with Tibetan Buddhism knows that it has, it just loves numbers. 3 of this, 7 of that, 21 of this, 50 of this, 10 of this. Well, if somebody hadn't taught us to count, all of that would be pretty meaningless. And also to read and write. So all of those, basic skills that we, at some point, often take for granted, but enabled us to meet and hear and study the Dharma. Whoever invented Zoom, how would any of us, have survived COVID without Zoom and being able to access the teachings? Now, just take a minute and I think about the ways that you've offered the Dharma. First Saturday of the month meditation, teaching children, whatever. So just take a second. And in some senses, the smaller the better that we call to mind, because it's those tiny acts or things that we, that kind of go by, that we do so frequently that are part of our day, that make up the fabric of our practice. And the last is, that deep, deep wish, the 4 immeasurables, that may another person be happy and have the causes of happiness. So every time you say the 4 immeasurables, or you say the refuge prayer where you are inspired for enlightenment for the benefit of all beings, you are giving the Dharma. So this Thursday is December 21st, and it just happens this year that the winter solstice falls on that day. Kind of moves around a little. And innumerable cultures and spiritual traditions celebrate this, acknowledge it, because it's the return of the light. It's about hope. And I was just thinking this morning about, Geshe-la talks about the faith, faith of confidence. We've done our research and we've done it, and we have, even if we don't know for sure, we have faith in the path and faith in the holy, holy beings. Well, I can't imagine, it's very hard to have hope without some kind of confidence that it's going to be okay. Faith. So, what experiences in your life, whether it's listening to something, an experience with a person, just, what was important to you, from the time you could even think about what was important, it could have just arisen, for me, what appears to be spontaneously because of all the positive seeds of generosity that we're manifesting in this life. So just think about that. And also, was there anyone that offered you the openness and kindness that helped you have, to develop that wish that everybody be happy? Mm. Mm. What's interesting about the six perfections is that the practice of any of them includes the other five. For example, it's being generous by, giving away stolen money might not be the most ethical thing in the world to do. It's hard, we don't often think of patience as generosity. But it is. It's a great act of generosity. Have you ever been in a grocery line and you somehow end up in the line that there's a problem with an order and the clerk is kind of, might have caused the mistake or baffled how to fix it because they're new, and you're standing in the line with your two items and you just want it to move along. Well, practicing some patience there, especially when it's your turn in front of the clerk, and not showing what might have been some irritation because you just wanted to get done and get out of there. It really is, that kind of patience is a kindness and it's generosity. And joyous effort, patience can take, generosity can take some effort. And then concentration and wisdom. Well, you have to be working on staying in the moment. And, generosity is best if, not best, but when it's guided by some wisdom. So I think that this is a time that one of the great pieces of generosity that we can share is the acceptance and tolerance we bring to the many situations that can happen over the next, 10 days. traveling, traffic, excited children, excited adults, chores and tasks, picking people up at the airport, you getting to the airport. All of these, Costco. I had the privilege of needing to get air in my tires yesterday at Costco, and the machine was not working. And I had overslept, so I was there at 9 a.m. rather than the 8 a.m. that I had planned. Not wise. But here's like an act of generosity. I went to the bays, where everybody's getting their tires and stuff. And the gentleman, one of the tire people came out, said, "Can I help you?" And I said, "Well, I can't seem to get it to this machine to work for my last tire. Could you help me?" And he said, "Yeah, just pull around in front and, I'll take care of you." Of course, pulling around in front, that was what I would call a death-defying feat. And the gentleman not only checked that tire and made sure it was working, he checked the other three. And he said, and I noticed I had been missing, caps, and I thought, well, I'll go to a parts store and get caps or something. And he says, "Oh, I noticed you're missing 2 caps. Let me go get them and put them on for you." Well, now for me, who finds any kind of mechanical thing daunting, it was just the greatest act of generosity, and the other great act of generosity was whatever causes and conditions came together, both people and whatever, that as I got out of that parking lot safely. So I think I can't be I guess I could be delusional thinking I'm alone in this, but I think that this is a time where we have maybe more opportunities than we want to practice it. And this may not be so positive, but I think one of the things that happens with the holidays is that there's a lot of shoulds involved. I have to do this, I have to do it for so-and-so, I have to do that for so-and-so. I'm not really sure we have the resources to do all of that this year. And Geshe-la talks about it, Tisha talks about it. It's generosity, even though sometimes it can be hard. Don't do it out of obligation. Don't do it out of all of the things, obligation, they're expecting it, I should. There's actually, let me find, somebody said it lots better than I did, so I'm just going to read that. I like that better. It's also important to not give out of a motivation of guilt, obligation, feeling that you should, or that someone else has done it, so you better do it too. Well, so when you're ready, just, if you're already back, great. If you're not, come on back, and we'll go. Thank you for your patience. Appreciate it. Okay. So, I like stories, as most people know here. And So I'm going to share a few anecdotes that I'm familiar with. Sandy, if you could hear me, would you come in here? Just come on, all the way in. Do you remember this? This was in the gift shop, I don't know, about 2 years after I ordained. And I tried it on just because I thought this was just the best. And I even wore socks that match. And this woman buys it for me. I had no intention of buying this. You know, it's not what you call proper nun wear. You know, and with all the craziness, being homeless for 6 months at one point, I have never lost this hat. And so that was an unexpected, humorous, and delightful example of generosity.
It's so cute.
Team colors, yeah, you know. So, but that, I mean, so this is an example, and it hangs on one of my doors, and it gives me just a little chuckle all the time. And if it had ear flaps, I would wear it all the time during the winter. But since it doesn't have ear flaps, it's a little chilly. So thank you, and thank you for coming in here. I really appreciate it. What? Sorry to interrupt you, dear. So, well, maybe I'll keep it on. So here's just a couple. Like how did, generosity, not that I've always been good at it, it's always been important to me. It's also always been important to me for people to be generous to me. But also have attempted to be generous in different ways. And I was thinking about where did I learn that? How did I kind of, even if I wasn't doing it, knew it was important? Well, there were 6 of us in my family, 6 kids, 9 of us in the house. And, we never starved. We never didn't have a roof over our head, but it wasn't, it wasn't particularly rich or, anything. But every year my mother, for all 6 of us, did what they called a Christmas club. And anybody you got to realize this is such ancient history, man. We're talking 70 years ago here. And what it was is that you could do a quarter, 50 cents, but you did it every week, and it was a little coupon book. And she did it for all 6 kids. We each had our individual coupon book, And so, and then it came to Christmas time, and of course, you got 50 cents interest. So you got $12.50. Well, I guess I was born in 40. So in 1955, 1956, that was a fair amount of money. And it was our job to then buy presents for everybody with this little stash that we were given. And I find it amazing that all of us, did it. I mean, I'm not saying somebody didn't sneak a little bit of caramel corn out of it, but on the whole, that example, that my mother did that all through the year, and we all kind of knew it, was, I was thinking about it last night, and I thought, holy Toledo, that's terrific. And then the other piece of generosity is welcoming whatever you receive. For me, and not rolling your eyes saying, oh God, look what Aunt so-and-so gave me again, whatever. So it was my mother's birthday, Mother's Day, something like that. And I don't know if anybody's ever heard of Ben Franklin's, but there used to be 5 and dimes, right? And so my sister and I pooled our resources, and we went to the Ben Franklin to buy my mother a Mother's Day present, right? Well, we knew my mom liked big purses. She liked them, lots of pockets. And we found a lavender. I don't know if there's a plastic that was known as marshmallow at the time that was very, very soft, right? So we found a lavender marshmallow purse that had lots of pockets and not only a handle, but a shoulder strap. And we pulled all of our resources and we bought that. And we were so proud of ourselves. Well, my mother and I, not being an example, you cannot even begin to think that I am anything. She was a diva of style. Like holy Toledo. So we give her this purse. She carried that thing. My daughters gave this to me. She carried, and it was so ugly. It was beyond, but she appreciated it. She carried it. I think she really hoped somebody stole it. But that example of just receiving, whatever's, and I'm gonna tell a story from the Bible. Is anybody familiar with the story about the widow's mite? Well, an older woman, tattered, clearly very poor, kind of approached Jesus and gave him a widow's mite. And I don't know if people know does anybody know what a widow's mite is? It is the clippings, because when they stamped a coin, there were like little edges on it. So in order for the coin to have any kind of similar shape, they had to clip it. And so a widow's mite is one of those tiny pieces of silver that was clipped off a coin. And she offered Jesus a mite. And he received it with great gratitude. Well, of course, the good old, Pharisees are there, and the other people saying, get out of the way, get out of the way. It's kind of like the story of Khando meeting the Dalai Lama. Get him, go away, don't bother Jesus. And, and Jesus says, and again, what it took for this person, this woman, to offer me this, compared to a much larger gift that was, just pocket change to somebody, is so extraordinary, and the motivation and the intention with which it was given. And I love that story. It's really funny. I was at a coin show with a friend of mine years ago, and there was a basket of widow's mites that really, and it was like, so you could get like a tablespoon for, $2 or $5. So I bought them and put them in my Christmas cards with the store, with a little store. But that was just me being silly. Most people didn't even see it in the cards because it was so tiny. There you go. Well, so I'm gonna, well, there's one other funny story, but I want to give people a chance to. So last time I asked people to share, it was a very, very silent group. So you're all welcome to be silent because I'll fill the airtime. Would anybody like to share, an event that they learned generosity or wanted to do it, or that they received it? I'm Michael, I see you.
And
Oh, yeah, and the mic is going to go
Thank you.
around.
Thanks, Chris.
So be generous and wait for it.
First of all, you made me think of my mother, and I haven't seen her since I was 18 when she passed away. And walking around downtown and going into the Ben Franklin store with her and into Woolworths, and that's probably where you did some shopping too. And the caramel corn, absconding with it can be forgiven because the smell out of the paddock arcade was intoxicating and irresistible. So thank you for bringing that up. I'm on this app called Nextdoor, and oh shoot, the thing just disappeared.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I was going to read a little piece here from Nextdoor that somebody offered. It's
Okay.
a story of a visit to Harris Teeter, and I'm still in that line at the store with my 2 items, waiting for the big cart in front of me to go through. But it's very interesting. A lady that I've never met before was in the line behind me at the food line. I usually don't go to this particular location, but I did this morning, and I was using a gift card as my form of payment. And half of my items were on sale, but my gift card was still less than my balance. I didn't have the money to pay for everything, and the lady behind me, without hesitation, offered to take care of the rest of my balance. But then the cashier offered as well. But the customer behind me went ahead and took care of it. I started to cry because I had no idea how much I appreciated that, and she did not have to do that. I just want to say thank you, whoever you are. You blessed me today, and an act of kindness in any form means the world to me. Bless you. Have a wonderful holiday season. So there's a little story of generosity from this past week.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Khando, I don't have a comment about generosity, but someone on YouTube has asked a question
Sure, go
about
ahead.
Christmas and Buddhism.
Oh,
Are you
sure.
up for that?
Yeah, go
Okay.
ahead.
So the question is, what's the Tibetan Buddhist perspective on Christmas? I've basically assumed it's not a holiday. It's not a holiday Buddhists celebrate.
Mhm.
So I haven't done so since I started practicing Buddhism. I used to be a Christian, so I'm familiar with the biblical story you just told.
Well, this is that's a kind of a Geshe question to have the official galoop. But I'm going to kind of think about what Lama Zopa would say. Any opportunity to, well, first of all, he used to say, after you've blessed your food, the bigger your appetite, the better. So, and Lama Yeshe, so any opportunity to come into community with people and share in a positive way, and in rejoice in community, is terrific. There's nothing non-Buddhist about it. Generosity, celebrating the fact that people do have spiritual traditions that nurture them and keep them. There's nothing. And I was actually wanting, if I had been able to get it in time, one of the last times I talked, we did Let It Be. Yeah, wasn't it? Yeah, Let It Be. And instead of Mother Mary, we did Mother Tara, right? Well, I didn't have time to go through some Christmas carols because I was thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to go through some Christmas carols and find out where Buddha, like, oh, come all ye faithful, the Buddha's born. But now that's not. So, didn't get to it. Too busy baking panettone. So I think that it's about our intentions. It's about how we come into community. And also, as Geshe would say, giving people what they want. Last Sunday, I made 16 loaves of bread because my mother always made panettone, which was my great-grandmother's recipe. And there is an expectation in my family that I will provide it. And I've done so ever since my mother passed. Well, the year I got ordained, no, I didn't. I was busy. I was in India. Well, I still do it. Now, some of it I enjoy, but I have to tell you, needing 16 pounds of dough, I feel like I'm going to need a shoulder replacement when I'm done. But but fine. It all worked out, and it was terrific. And I got them in the mail by Friday, which means there's a chance they will get there. But that was a custom from a very, very Catholic family that I grew up in, and that, I'm still a recovering Catholic, but I can offer that. And so I do. And I'm not bragging here, but that's the best example I can give. And guess what? I'm going to Christmas Eve service because I love Christmas carols. And people are so happy. And they sing these great songs. And I'm going to share it with a family that I know that their Christianity is very important to them, but they've invited me to be part of. So that's my, it's my monastic opinion, but it's not necessarily correct. So, but I remember years ago, somebody was at Family Dharma camp, and a gentleman came up to me and said, "May I give you a hug?" And he says, "I'm Italian," and I hug. And I said, "Well, I'm Italian too, so I get it." So we, gave each other a hug. And I asked Geshe later, was that wrong? Because as a nun, you're not supposed to go around hugging people, especially not guys. And Geshe said, "Well, what was your motivation?" I said, "It was just been a wonderful weekend, and we were just sharing that, celebrating that for a minute." And he said, "Well, then it's fine." And then I looked at him and I said, "Yeah, and I was Italian long before I was a nun, so I'm probably wired in at a hard, DNA level." And he just laughed. So I guess an inference from that is, if it does no harm and it could be of benefit, do it. Anybody else before I share one other funny story? Oh, Andre, please.
Just wanted to
Wait for the
Oops.
mic.
Oh, sorry. Thank you for waiting. Thank you for your speed, Lee.
a couple of things. I experienced generosity from my wife every doggone day.
Mhm,
I'm disabled, and it's very difficult for me to do a lot of things.
mhm.
And she is there, constantly taking care of me all the time, and she's got other stuff to do, but she will, out of the kindness of her heart, take care of me. So I experienced that every doggone day. Like, that's just from one person, but then there's countless numbers of people who are so kind and generous. The guys in prison that I work with, I sit on the floor. I try my best to get on the floor. Getting down, it's not so hard. Getting back up is ugly. But these guys, they come and lift me up,
I hear that's a song.
Lift me up, yeah. Right, yeah. So that's cool. The Christmas thing, if I may.
Sure, go ahead, please.
Can't think of his name. I hate it. Sure. He was Geshe-la's interpreter.
Sure.
Sheriff. There.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm 72, so things keep going.
You're a baby.
Yeah, but yeah. When I became very interested in Buddhism and stuff like that, I went to his store, Himalayan Frontier, and I had all these questions. He spent a half a day in his store answering my questions.
Mhm.
Customers would come in,
Mhm.
he would answer my questions. And then and one of the things, coming from a Christian background, and I was very Christian at that time, was about Jesus.
Mhm.
And he said, "Well, Actually, from a Buddhist perspective, Jesus is a bodhisattva, and Jesus is a Buddha, you know, and so I keep that in my heart all the time, realizing that's a living, that was an example of a bodhisattva and a Buddha, and so I have no problem at all celebrating Christ.
Great.
I have no problem at all
Well,
doing
that's-
that. You know, I love Christmas, and I love the whole thing about generosity. One other thing, if I may, another act of generosity. When I first started coming, the first day that I came to the Khando Center, that's when we were in the basement at the other place. I came out of the Gompa to put on my shoes, and my shoes were gone. Someone had taken my shoes, you know, and everybody was, oh man, just looking for my shoes. They were gone. Someone must have thought that they were theirs. I don't know what the deal was, but Sheriff, he would not let me go home without shoes. He insisted that I wear his shoes. He insisted I wear, and he's got little feet, and I got these. You know, but he insisted that I wear his shoes.
So you were Chinese for the next Chinese
Oh,
woman,
right.
yeah.
So if that's not an act of kindness, that was my first experience.
That's great.
in-
That's
in
a
the center,
fabulous
yeah,
story.
right.
Yeah, yeah. So we don't have time, 11:27, I'm gonna finish. But I was trying to find one that didn't mention, because when they do it Christian, they always, and I didn't want to mention Jesus. I was trying to find on YouTube, you know, a song at this time is This Little Light of Mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little, what? Go ahead. What? Oh, okay. Well, come on up. No, okay. Sorry, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. And that, let's see, what was that? We will sing in peace, we will sing in harmony, we will sing in peace, we will sing in harmony. Oh my gosh, do we need that now or what? Yeah, Michael. Yeah, real fast, because I don't want to be, I was late last time and I got in trouble.
Nobody wants to hear me. But anyway, I apologize for double dipping. And I just want to share this one thing I read that I can relate to completely. I'm a Buddhist, not a Christian, but I absolutely love Christmas. I love the togetherness and the charity. I love the candlelight services. I love the movies, and I really love the songs. I love hearing the stories from Matthew and Luke. But what I love most is celebrating Jesus Christ. Jesus did not teach high theology or deep philosophy. He spoke to the people as they were able to understand, Bodhisattva, and his message was as simple as he was. Love others and live with compassion. As a Buddhist, I can celebrate this time of year.
And I'm gonna follow up with, you know, one of the things that I appreciate about Buddhism is that for many people, Christmas is not a happy time. Was not a happy time to remember. It was a time of great pain and unhappiness and sometimes abuse, you know. The parent that wasn't supposed to get drunk on Christmas Eve, or, you know, a bully of a sibling, whatever. And so one of the things that I loved about Buddhism is that it was such an incredible support for people that this time of year was very painful, and that it gave them support to get through it. And I rejoice in that they found something that didn't resonate in that same kind of way. So I hold those people in my heart too. So thank you very much for letting me share. There's one other anecdote I was going to share, but there's no time, so I won't. I'm going to be obedient today. Now that is a Christmas miracle.
Thank you, Khando. That was wonderful. So we'll do the dedication prayers, page 246 in the Gold Prayer Book. May all beings everywhere, plagued by sufferings of body and mind, obtain an ocean of happiness and joy by virtue of my merits. May no living creature suffer, commit evil, or ever fall ill. May no one be afraid or belittled with a mind weighed down by depression. May the blind see forms and the deaf hear sounds. May those whose bodies are worn with toil be restored on finding repose. May the naked find clothing, the hungry find food. May the thirsty find water and delicious drinks. May the poor find wealth, those weak with sorrow find joy. May the forlorn find hope, constant happiness, and prosperity. May there be timely rains and bountiful harvest. May all medicines be effective and wholesome prayers bear fruit. May all who are sick and ill quickly be freed from their ailments. Whatever diseases there are in the world, may these never occur again. May the frightened cease to be afraid and those bound be freed. May the powerless find power and may people think of benefiting each other. For as long as space remains, for as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. And then the long life prayer for His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And this is on page 244 in the Gold Prayer Book. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All-powerful Chenrezig Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. And long life prayer for Khensa Rinpoche, page 245. The one who mastered his speech at a very young age, the one with great patience who received the name Avatare, the one with great precision who spread the teachings of Lama Tsongkhapa on bliss and void, Lama, ornament of the yellow hat tradition, please remain until samsara ends. And then a prayer for the swift return of Lama Zopa Rinpoche, and this can be found on the inside back cover. Peerless teacher and assembly of the children of the victorious ones, Shravakas and Pratyekya Buddhas. Victorious Lozong, father and sons, along with the lineage masters, all the objects of refuge of the infinite lands, please bestow the virtue and goodness of accomplishing this prayer here and now. Holding and spreading the Muni's precious and complete teachings through explanation and practice, you wear the armor of patience that is never discouraged. Incomparable venerable Guru, to you I make request. While striving single-pointedly for the sake of the victorious one's teachings, the sole gateway through which all benefit and happiness emerge, and from other living beings, you suddenly departed to peace. What a great loss. Nevertheless, through the undeceiving truth of the blessings of the oceans of the three jewels and the great waves of bodhicitta of the children of the victorious ones, may the smile of a reincarnation swiftly beam in glory for fortunate disciples. And then on the inside front cover, we'll do the prayers for the long lives of Geshe Gelik and Geshe Sangpo. Supreme Guide, you lead us on the many paths of virtue, a shining sun. You give us the best of excellent explanations. Supreme virtuous friend, you are a constant Dharma companion. Lama who has renounced fame, may you ever remain. And then for Geshe Sangpo. You who have steadfast imprints of virtuous qualities and keep the instructions of the glorious Guru in your heart. You who pass day and night with noble activities, great virtuous friend, may you have a very long life. And then for the benefit of all beings, we'll do 7 more Tara mantras. Om Tare Tu Re So Ha. 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 Om Tare Tu Re So Ha.
And I forgot, give me, whoops, did I turn, oh, yep, it's on, oh, it's on, okay, good. I forgot to mention one other thing that's a great act of generosity that somebody did for years and years. They had an orphan party on Christmas Day. And they invited anyone that was not going home to visit family or was single or for whatever reason, or they wanted to come as a family. So, they had a potluck with great stuff and a white elephant gift exchange. But what was wonderful about it is you didn't even have to worry about a gift because this hostess always had a plethora of white elephant gifts to allow people to use so they could participate. And I attended that many times, and I know how much people enjoyed it, but it was just an incredible act of generosity to share their home. And so that's just another example for me of the kind of generosity that many who come here and most people who come here practice in their lives. And for that, I have just tremendous gratitude. So thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you so much, Khando.
All please drive very safely.
I do have a couple quick announcements before you go. The next 2 Sundays, we will not have Sunday morning meditation or Sunday Dharma connections. One of the Sundays is Christmas Eve. The next one is New Year's Eve. However, do come and join us on New Year's Eve evening at 7 p.m. for Dorje Kadro. And this is a practice in which we burn away negative karma so that we can start 2024 off nice and free of negative karma. And Elise, you want to come up and say a quick announcement? And the children's program will be starting in January on the second weekend, the second Sunday of January. So please come back for the children's program.
And we're hoping you're having a very wonderful holiday season and something to look forward to in January. We're going to have a special 2 movie nights in January, the 7th and the 2 weeks later, whatever that number is, 19th. Thank you. And the 5th and the 19th. Yes, thank you. 1st and 3rd Friday of January. Because in February, movie night's going to be once a month, but in February, we're going to have something special with the monks coming back with Geshe Sengpo. But these 2 movies will be about the concept of reincarnation. All FPMT centers around the world are praying for Lama Zopa Rinpoche's reincarnation. And that's kind of a mystery, and you're like, what is that all about, kind of the thing. So these 2 films will explore what that is, a traditional view and a non-traditional view of reincarnation. So be on the lookout for the information on our website and in your weekly newsletter about this. Have a wonderful holiday season, everybody.
Thanks. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you soon. Happy holidays.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Venerable Kadro.
Bye, Peter.